the place to be. For we are creative people. Stay tuned for the best, and the rest of your life.
One time I was born by the river.
7 years ago, about 7.5 years ago, there was a piece of legislation introduced in the House of Representatives. There was a piece of legislation introduced creating the Fort McPherson Redevelopment Authority. And when it came over to the Senate, I had never seen it before, and I stopped it in the Senate. The reason I stopped it is because in the legislation, there was no consideration for the nearby community. I said then, and I say now, that if in fact we redevelop Fort McPherson and it has no impact on the nearby community, shame on us for allowing that to happen. Whatever happens at Fort, it is, as Kay said, a project of what? Regional impact. It's going to impact not just the city, but just Southwest Atlanta or the city, but the entire region.
The process has not been transparent to the people that live around the base. And the third thing that we should know or ask ourselves, is this a good deal for the taxpayers of the United States? We've worked with the CDC on best and highest use for the property, because guess what? These ladies before me talked about all the things that the community wanted to see. Some of those things were on the base and some of those things were off the base. What will you use to pay for what the community wants to see in their area or in their neighborhood? So then you'll say, well, we can't afford that. But you could afford it if you had an open and honest process, and if you ask people to pay market value for the property. That's right. Now, let me refute an argument that I'm sure someone is thinking. Well, if you sell it for $30 million and they invest in it, there's going to be profit made, and who does the profit go to? Not to the community, it goes to the owner of the property. Now, I don't care if that person is Mr. Perry or someone else. What I do care about, and what you're telling me you care about, is that you want to see some changes in your community, and if you want to see those changes, there needs to be money to pay for them. So, whether you like the person who's buying it, or whether you don't like the person who's buying it, forget that for a minute, and let's just talk about the deal. The deal is not a good deal. If you sell it for what you paid for it, you make no profit. What is the purpose? And if you're going to take the 343, 350 acres, whatever the acreage is, and you've already said you're going to put a fence around it, then the issues that the community asks for, connecting streets, so you're not driving around a big parcel of land for the rest of our lives. We've been doing it for over 100 years. Now we're going to do it possibly into perpetuity. But you're asking for that connectivity. You're asking for investments in your neighborhood. When people say that if developers will not invest in West End, Oakland City, Venetian Hills, Cascade Heights, well, if they won't invest, then we must have the city or our governmental entities provide the investment or the incentives for people to make those investments, or better yet, help us to invest in our own neighborhood. Right. We've all heard of urban renewal and urban redevelopment. That worked back in the 60s and the 70s? And I read recently that the reason why they don't do it now like that is because it did work. But that's just food for thought. But as I turn it over to Senator Ford, I want you to think about a couple of things. This is not about Mr. Perry. This is not about the mayor. This is about the fact that every time you pay taxes, you have supported that piece of land. It belongs to you. You have a voice. You should raise that voice and let them know that it is heard.
But I will be honest with you, prior to the press conference last week, and prior to the articles that have been put in the paper talking about the community is concerned about this deal, people thought this was a done deal. They thought the base had been sold. They thought there was nothing that could be done about it. So I applaud you for coming out tonight to understand that. But I forgot, I'm not turning over Senator Ford. But I'd like Senator Ford, Dianese, and Arlene to come to the front because I'm going to ask the questions of them. Well, you have to come up here with me, guys.
That we can answer. You have a question? Okay. Okay, great. Okay, that's a question we can really answer for ourselves, can't we?
Yes.
Because one of the things that we don't want is a Ford to replace a Ford. Right? And Greenbrier's in my district. And the direct impact on the community from the Tyler Perry studio, I would say, is minimal. I mean, how many would say it was minimal from your observation?
About zero.
Minimal, or how many would say non-existent? How many would say it's been great for the community?
None.
All right. Okay, there's one hand. All right. So, but my point, I think the point is, you know, we over the years have been concerned about the fence and the barbed wire that separated Fort Mac, particularly on the Atlanta side.
Yes.
We have seen, excuse me, thank you. We have seen the barbed wire more on the Atlanta side. The East Point side had at least it had a fence, but it didn't have the razor wire on it. And so that's a great question because it talks about how the fort will be integrated into the community.
And I'm going to ask for the next answer to be a little pithy and shorter. So, I feel Tyler Perry has been a major contributor to Atlanta as well as the film industry. I see the community benefiting from corporations, affiliates, attendees, etc. What is the negative regional impact? Who would like to answer that?
Thank you.
I don't see a positive impact. Okay, I don't see a positive impact from things that have happened in the past, such as the Greenbrier area. As we said, our neighborhoods need jobs. They need safety. They need good health. And having a studio is not going to necessarily bring that to the neighborhood. And the other thing, employment, jobs. How many of you have ever heard of SAG, the Screen Actors Guild? You know, that is harder to get through than the eye of a needle. So what they do is import people in. The jobs will not go to you or your children. So this is not good.
The next question. If the Tyler Perry deal goes through, is there any way to require that the $30 million would get invested in this area? Any way to ensure the proceeds could still benefit this community? And Senator Ford, you have as much time as you'd like to answer this question.
Yeah. Now, we're getting down to brass tacks. Remember, the Development Authority last week voted what? For citizens not to have input. It would be their decision, right? On whatever came out of this deal. The $30 million is going to go to the Army. So that $30 million is, the Army's going to do what? Put that in their budget to buy tanks or whatever they do. So I don't see any direct benefit from that $30 million. I will say, well, I'll leave it at that. That's enough.
Okay. When will the LRA actually meet with community members? what's being done about the boarded up houses in the community. And Aline and Diane sit on the Community Engagement Subcommittee. So not that they sit on the LRA, it's a subcommittee to that, but I'm going to let them answer. When will the LRA actually meet with community members, and what has been done about, what is being done about boarded up houses in the community?
Go slow.
Greetings, I'm HASSAN Raheem, CEO of WACPtv. You have just heard a portion of the facts surrounding the closure and sale of Fort McPherson in southwest Atlanta. You heard that Tyler Perry is offering to purchase 3/4 of the land mass to extend his studios. You heard Tyler Perry's record regarding his stay in the Greenbrier community he already resides in. And you heard that this project will have regional, if not national, impact, and that the process has not been transparent. This property has not yet been sold, pending your voice in the matter. The next meeting is scheduled for August 25th at the address on the screen. Let your voice be heard by contacting the Army person in charge of this sale at the address on the screen. I've been your host and tour guide HASSAN, asking you to stay tuned to WACP as the story continues. Will Tyler Perry's offer for Fort McPherson stand or be rejected? Stay tuned.
Checking to get information. Out of business. Two last homes right here. And they're probably rent houses. But look on the other side of the street too. Now I'm going to pull over here because we need to get this.
They sure need to buy this piece of property.
This is it's Campbellton Road and Kenilworth Drive.
WACP, the place to be.